Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a history that's, well, it's pretty shocking, and it's hiding in plain sight. We're talking about the brutal origins of the very management techniques that run our lives at work.
So let's just kick things off with a quick pop quiz. I want to challenge what you think you know about business history. Where did all this stuff, productivity tracking, performance metrics, even the idea of depreciating assets, where did it all really come from? Now, if you're thinking, Harvard Business School, right? Or maybe Wall Street, or, the big factories of the Industrial Revolution. I mean, those are great guesses, and a lot of people would agree with you, but they're all wrong.
The real answer is as stunning as it is disturbing. So many of the core ideas of modern management were actually pioneered and perfected on slave plantations.
And look, to be really clear here, this is not a metaphor. It's not like, my boss is a slave driver. No, this is a direct historical lineage. To get it, you have to see plantations for what they really were. They weren't just farms. Think of them as these incredibly complex, vertically integrated businesses. And they had to innovate all these management techniques because they had this desperate, all-consuming need for total control.
I mean, just look at their business model. Unlike most businesses back then that might just, trade some goods or make one thing, plantations handled everything at a massive scale. We're talking agriculture, obviously, growing the stuff, but also manufacturing, processing it right there on site, logistics, managing these crazy complex supply chains, finance, big capital investments, and of course, labor management, which in this case meant total, absolute control.
All right, so let's get into the evidence, the receipts, if you will. The thing is, plantation owners were obsessed with record keeping. They wrote everything down. And when you look at these historical records, they reveal this cold mathematical logic they invented to squeeze every last drop of value from human beings.
And one of the most chilling innovations they came up with was applying this now standard business concept of depreciation, something we use for a company truck or a laptop. They applied it directly to people.
And this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? This is based on real accounting guides from the 1850s. It shows exactly how a plantation owner would calculate the declining value of an enslaved person, year after year, just like a piece of machinery that's wearing out. It's brutal.
And they tracked every single cost with this obsessive detail. The goal was always to find the absolute bare minimum they needed to spend to keep their human assets just functional enough to keep working, $30 to $40 a year.
And then they'd calculate the value of the output. What they found was just a staggering return on investment. We're talking 300 to 750% annually. That is a profit margin built, literally, on human suffering and this brutal form of efficiency.
So how did they get that incredible ROI? Well, it was through a very specific and brutal management technique that historians now call the pushing system. Basically, this was the origin of continuous improvement, only it was enforced through terror and punishment.
And the results of this system? Just look at this chart. A mind-blowing 400% increase in cotton productivity per person over 60 years. Now, what's really important to understand is this wasn't because of some new technology. The cotton gin had already been invented and was widely used. This huge jump in productivity was achieved almost entirely through torture-enforced performance management, period.
Okay, so how did this brutal logic make its way into the modern world we live in? Well, after emancipation, these incredibly effective management techniques, they didn't just disappear. Not at all. They evolved, they were adapted, and they were absorbed right into the foundation of corporate America.
And this is where it gets really interesting and kind of chilling. Just look at the job descriptions side by side. Plantation overseer, modern HR manager. As you can see, the core functions are, they're almost identical. Task assignment, performance evaluation, productivity tracking. It's all about managing human assets to get the most out of them for the organization. And you can literally trace this direct evolutionary line through time. You start with the overseer in the 1850s on the plantation. That role becomes the factory foreman in the 1880s. That becomes the HR manager by the 1960s. And today, in the 2020s, it's becoming algorithmic management. The same logic, just a new technological wrapper.
So this is the crucial point, right? Understanding how this pretty dark history is actually impacting our lives at work right now. The logic of the plantation is embedded in systems we deal with every single day, and most of the time, we don't even realize it.
Take a look at this quote. The overseer must ensure that no motion is wasted. Sounds a lot like something from a modern efficiency expert, right?
Maybe someone like Frederick Winslow Taylor, the father of scientific management. Except this is from an actual plantation management manual written in the 1850s, decades before Taylor was even doing his work.
You can see that exact same logic, no motion wasted, playing out all around us today. It's in the Amazon warehouse, where an algorithm is tracking your every second. It's in the gig economy, where your performance metrics literally decide if you get your next bit of work. It's the annual quota, the dreaded performance improvement plan, the PIP. It is the pushing system just rebranded with shiny new tech.
And of course, the language we use has changed too. It's become softer, more euphemistic. You can see the progression here. We went from slave to freedman, then worker, then human resources or human capital, and now it's all about being talent or a team member. Each step kind of papers over the reality, hiding that raw, extractive relationship that, let's be honest, often still exists between labor and capital.
So when you understand this history, it forces you to ask a really difficult, really uncomfortable question. If our basic management systems were designed from the ground up for absolute control and extraction, can they ever be truly fair? Can they ever be truly just?
Now hold on, this is not about blaming individual managers or HR people. Not at all. You can be a really good person working inside a bad system. A kind overseer was still an overseer. See what I mean? The fundamental problem isn't the person, it's the underlying logic of the system they're a part of.
And that leaves us with one last and pretty provocative thought. Once you learn to see this architecture of extraction, the constant focus on metrics over people, the endless push for more and more output, the view of human beings as just resources to be managed, well, you can't unsee it. So take a hard look at your own workplace and ask yourself this question: is it built on plantation logic